What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. Let's start this video with a young gun, Joan Pradells, who made his men's open bodybuilding debut last year at Empro Classic Spain. So he had a lot of hype going into that show, more than his fellow countryman Jose Manuel aka Jose Beast, who by the way outperformed him by quite some margin actually. And another interesting fact is that it was a pro debut for both of these guys. So after that show, Joan went back to the drawing board, while Jose Beast on the other hand continued to compete, and he did multiple shows last year as well. So in that one show, Joan Pradells got to see different levels of the sport, and where all these top IFBB pros who have been winning shows, where are these at after years and years of working hard. And he also understood the work that was needed to be done in order to take his physique to that next level. And Joan has been focused on all of his weak points throughout this whole time. So it was almost a year-long off-season, and he went as high as 290 pounds at the peak of his off-season, in what we can call was a very good off-season condition. So as of right now, he hasn't announced what show he's gonna do next. Is the Empro Classic Spain under consideration? Well, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like it. Because the guys that Joan is going up against, they are way ahead in terms of conditioning, and they started their prep months back. So the good thing for Joan was that during this past off-season, he got to train with some very big names of the industry, like Mr. Olympia, Derek Lansford, like Honey Wembord, Andre Presti, Carlos Thomas Jr. And these are some very big names in the industry. And he must have learned everything that he needed to in order to excel at the highest level. So I have to tell you guys, it wasn't the lack of size on why Joan did not make into the top 5 at Empro Classic Spain. He was outconditioned by a lot of these guys. His conditioning wasn't up to the par. Plus, his back was nowhere as good as his front. So not only does he need to bring that insane level of conditioning, but he has to do something about his back as well. The Egyptian tank Hassan Mustafa's physique update is up next. 6 weeks out of Toronto Pro, and his main competition at this show, at least as of right now, is gonna be Akim Williams. So Akim Williams has also been pushing extremely hard for this year's Toronto Pro, because he has already done 2 shows, and he would very much like to get his Olympia qualification here. And I have to say, if he shows up exactly like the Arnold Classic UK or the Arnold Ohio Finals, that is gonna be a hard one to beat, as he will outclass Hassan Mustafa in every department. Because as of right now, we're not really sure if Quentin is actually gonna do Toronto Pro. So it does seem like a good choice for him, as that show is gonna be happening in his hometown. But as of right now, the guys who are confirmed for Toronto Pro are Hassan Mustafa and Akim Williams. And I have to say, no one can really outmuscle Akim Williams in any of these shots, except for the back double biceps. And on top of that, as big as he is, he has a very nice flow. He has a small waist. He has an incredible V-taper. And considering his recent performances at the Arnold Classics, I have to say Akim is the man to beat here, at least as of right now. So coming back to Hassan Mustafa, he is looking absolutely massive right now at about 6 weeks out of Toronto Pro. And this is gonna be his first show of the season. So the question is, does he really need more muscles? That is up for debate, but I have always maintained my stance. He has all the size in the world. He is one of the most muscular guy out there. And the reason he might struggle against some big names in the industry isn't because of size. It will be because he doesn't have a great V-taper. He doesn't have very good aesthetics. He has awesome huge quads. He has very deep abs. On top of that, one hell of a great back. But the thing with Hassan is that he has always struggled with his peak. Either it's his conditioning or it's his fullness. And he has always had a hard time getting more shredded in the hamstrings and the glutes area. But when he is truly on, he is very impressive, and the reason is his incredible size, and that is why he is known as the Egyptian tank. So his new coach has a big challenge ahead of him. First, he needs to get him shredded, which has always been a difficult task. Plus, he needs to do that while maintaining his flow, his wow factor. Because as seen by his track record, and as per his ex-coach Chris Acito, Hassan is one of the most difficult bodybuilders to peak. Alfred Cak has decided to take the whole year off from competitive bodybuilding and focus on making improvements for the year 2025. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he did 4 shows in 2023. So 2 of those shows were just before the Olympia last year and 2 afterwards. So in Romania Pro, Alfred had a chance to stand next to guys like Samson Dauda, Behrouz, and even though all of these guys are IFBB pros, but this just solidifies that theory that there are different levels to this game. There are different levels of bodybuilding, and Samson is on the top of that food chain. So Alfred was originally a 212 guy who is trying to be competitive in the men's open bodybuilding. And so far, I have to say he has done extremely well. He might be lacking in the overall mass, but he has always been bone shredded. His conditioning has always been one of the best out there. And if you guys remember, there was a huge uproar after Empro Classic France 2023 that he should have been at least second at that show behind Nathan Degetia, but instead he got fifth at that show. So for a guy like Alfred, it is all about picking the right show and just hope that no big name shows up at that show. And that did happen at Japan Pro last year, which was the last show of 2023. And that was the first Olympia qualifier of 2024 season, where Theo Lagvier was able to slightly edge him out. Alfred placed second in that show, and I believe this was the second time Alfred was able to place second in his professional career. He was placed runner-up behind James Hollingshead. I think the show was Tsunami Cup Italy, and that was back in 2022. And I have to say his overall transformation from 2019 to now, that has been absolutely amazing. Wellington was one great talent that we saw came out of Brazil in 2022. That year he won his pro card. So back then this guy wasn't big enough for men's open plus, but he had great muscle quality. Very clean and nice looking muscles. The type of striations that he had on his chest, they are hardly visible on guys other than Hadi Choopan and Behrouz Tabani. And that was one of the reasons why he stood out. So he was able to place runner-up at his pro debut in 2022. He placed runner-up again at the All Brazil in 2023, where Behrouz Tabani was actually the one who beat him. And Wellington did Empro Classic Spain last year as well, where he was able to place top 3. So for a guy like Wellington, who had amazing shape, amazing symmetry, it was all about putting on enough size on his frame. And as you guys can see right now, he looks absolutely huge in his latest off-season physique update. He looks humongous. So he suffered from a heart condition and he had to check with the doctors at a point when he was touching 300 pounds. But even after taking a mini break from the high doses of PEDs and the gear, he still has maintained a lot of mass. This is the biggest we have ever seen him. So standing next to a guy like Behrouz Tabani at the All Brazil, that made him realize that he needs a lot of work, especially on his back. So hopefully he recovers well from the health issues and comes back with more mass, because if he can bring that same level of conditioning with the iron mass that he has now, he's gonna be really dangerous. The talent that has been recently coming out of Brazil in every bodybuilding division, that has been absolutely crazy. Lastly, we have an update from Michal Krizo, who is the reigning Empro Classic Spain champion, and he is now 7 weeks out of that show. So Michal isn't only the defending champion here, he's also the highest placing guy from the Olympia last year. And yes, I know William Bonac is also gonna be there. He's also making his comeback. But if you guys remember, Bonac wasn't able to make into that top 8 at the Olympia in 2022, which was his last Olympia. And Krizo was 7th last year. So I'm sure we're gonna see a good battle here at Empro Classic Spain, because this is Michal's 3rd year in the IB Pro League. And William Bonac is one of the veterans of the sport. And not to forget, Behrouz Tabani is also gonna be here. So it's all gonna come down to which version of William Bonac shows up here, or if his current age even allows him to be as round and as 3D as he was just a few years ago, just a couple of years ago. The physique that we saw from him at the All Classic 2022, that was so impressive. And whether we like it or not, age is a big factor that plays a major role in any professional sport. So Michal Krizo, on the other hand, is just 32 years old. And you expect to see him getting better and better with each passing year, because this guy lives and breathes bodybuilding and he is still very young. So the bodybuilding fans wanted to see a shredded Michal Krizo, and they got to see that at the Olympia last year. They wanted more fullness, with yet equally good conditioning. And Michal brought that as well at Pro. Now all of us want to see a bigger, wider back, because that is the only missing piece now. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you want to come back for more. Thanks for watching.